Hey guys, and welcome to another season of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and in this season, we uncover the remarkable power of genuine compassion and insightful vision. This season, we're here to show the world that we, as individuals, are the brand, regardless of misconceptions. Join us as we go deep into the inspiring journeys of our guests, each one a testament to the impact and influence of kindness and creativity. Don't just take my word for it. Hear their stories, feel their passion, and discover the transformative potential within us all. So stay tuned as we shine a light on the truths that connects us and inspires change.
Okay, welcome everybody. I am Natalie Remee. I am a fitness professional and a very good one at that. I do many things and I do many things well. I teach, I instruct, I pole, I dance, I lift weights, I create safe spaces for women in fitness, I create fitness parties, I host events, I travel with my fitness. I really am what I describe myself as an all-round bald-headed baddie. Welcome to Us People podcast with Savia Rocks.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and today I am abundantly humbled to have Natalie here with me. Natalie is a fitness professional, or online coach, and a personal trainer. Natalie, thank you so much for taking your time to come on the Us People podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I feel honored that someone has looked me up and said, yeah, I'd love this girl to come on the podcast and talk, because I can really talk.
I can see where this is going
I
already.
can
This is
talk like
cool.
a talker. Let's
Oh,
go, girl.
no, I like this. So I'm going to jump into my first question, Natalie.
Okay.
And that is, could you tell me about yourself, where you grew up, and how that influenced you to be the person who you are today?
Oh, I mean, where I grew up in North London. Um, and I didn't have it great. I mean, I know a lot of people didn't have it great, but I didn't have it great. So by the time I was 15, I was basically on the streets and I was homeless. I found myself in a woman's hostel because that's all they had for me, which is really quite tragic because a 15-year-old child should not be placed in a hostel with women. I was placed in a hostel with vulnerable women and ex-convicts. So the fact that I was able to navigate that and actually make it out literally alive is a miracle. So I believe that I'm covered. I believe that I'm covered in all aspects because it could have been a very different story for me being a 15-year-old living in a hostel with 8 other vulnerable women and ex-convicts. Do you know what I mean? Anything really drastic or heinous could have happened to me, but it didn't, and I was covered. So at that point, I did. I mean, I had no GCSEs. It just wasn't possible. That period of my life, I was just homeless and found myself abandoned. Just meant I didn't, and I was living alone, so I was able to not answer to anyone. So I found myself with one wayward friend, and I found myself at all the clubs that you're not supposed to be at the clubs. I should have really been in sixth form studying my books, and I was not. I was at Gas Club. I was at Samantha's.
What?
I was up at Leicester Square. I was doing up Hippodrome. I
Oh,
was going
wow,
to
you were in those clubs.
yeah, I was going to all these jungle raves. I should have been in my books, but you know, I don't know. I guess at that point, the only way for me to kind of feel like, how am I going to make an advantage of this situation is I have no adults to report to. So I just had to find life as I found life. And so that's what I did. I literally would rave Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. However, I did find myself to be responsible, and I did pick up a job. So I would have a Saturday job. And by the time I realized, okay, when I got my A levels, they basically weren't at A levels. The A levels looked at me and I looked at the A levels, and that piece of paper weren't it. So I just made a decision, okay, I can either be a statistic or I can really try and do something. So they had then, I think, see, I'm giving my age away. I don't know if they still have this thing called clearing. They have a clearing system, which you apply for university places.
Yes,
And
I think they still do have them.
it was called UCAS back in the day. I don't know
That's
if
the
it's still
one.
called
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Ooh,
Yeah, I know
UCAS
that
is,
one. Yep, I know that
yeah.
one. Yep. I'm showing
Okay.
my age
Oh.
too. Go on. Yep.
So hold tight, UCAS. So UCAS, I applied for. I was very interested in sociology, and ironically, being displaced and coming from an abusive background, neglected as a child, it was ironic that I always wanted to work with people, and sociology was my subject. So that's what I applied for, and I got in. So I went to South Bank University.
Yeah, I know that. Yep.
um, I didn't really apply myself in the first year, I got to be honest, but then most people don't. Most students don't. It's first year. So I was still navigating that. But once I finished my first year, my grades were actually all right for someone that didn't apply themselves. So then I thought to myself, oh, okay. And they said it's year two and year three that
Yes.
contribute to the actual degree. So then I was like, okay, nah, you said you didn't want to be a statistic. Now's the time to really button down. So I did. I buttoned down and I came out of there with a 2-1. Um, and had I actually studied hard, it would have been a first, you know.
See.
My dissertation was on abortion law reform.
Ooh.
Um,
We need that more now
and
than ever.
well, back then we definitely didn't. So now
Mm.
we do. And I got a first with that. And I remember the my professor at the time, she called me and she said, you should really go on to do a master's. I was like, no, forget that. I've been studying for too long. I need out of here, yeah. So I was like, no, 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 it's long, it's long. I'm out. Deuces. I've done it. I managed to get I got 10 GCSEs despite my childhood, despite being homeless.
See.
I still got 10 GCSEs, yeah. So I think the 10 GCSEs, even though I didn't have A levels, I was still able to get into university with, at the time. And, again, I just think I was covered and, you know, my path was maybe carved out for me, although I didn't realize because, what if I hadn't have been accepted to that university? What if I didn't have the 10 GCSEs, even though I didn't have the A levels? Do you know what I mean? And then so after that, it was like find a job. So I've graduated now, found a job, but no one would hire me. I just couldn't find work in social because I was too young. So I kept getting turned down because I was literally left at 2021. And it's like you're coming into social work to do what? You've had no life experience where we can't put you nowhere. You just are too young. And I needed a job.
Yeah.
I was living by myself. So after the hostel, I was given a flat. And again, Grace found me because the resettlement worker that I had at the time, she offered to be a guarantor for the flat that I was given because I
Oh,
was
there.
actually too young to hold a tenancy, at 17. So she went against the rules and, her job, and she was my guarantor for that first year for me to get that flat and get the tenancy. So I needed a job to support myself. So, long story short, I had a job temporarily for I think about a month. It was just like a what do you call it? I was working like in enforcement,
Yes.
council parking enforcement, not the best of, but it
It
paid the
it paid the
bills.
bills.
Not no can't tell me nothing at that time. I got things to do. I got bills to pay, right?
No, it paid the
But
bills.
that but that temporary job that I had, it then gave me enough experience to then apply for a job where I then ended
See.
up for the next 15 years.
There you go.
Yeah. So, I was in that uh, position of doing contract management. And, after 15 years, it was really time to just pack it in. It was mainly driven because it was soul destroying, to do a job where people don't care. You
Yeah.
know, it was also a rat race. My kids were really young at the time, single mom. The rat race of it was literally a military operation at the time, like getting a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old
Wow.
up at 6 o'clock, getting them bathed, ready, not even no breakfast. And I would literally drop them to nursery they'd get there like 7:55. And again, always I've been covered where the workers there would be okay with me escape in 5 minutes because they actually Breakfast Club Art started at 8.
Yeah.
But I needed 5 minutes to literally run from there to the station, and the train would get in at 8:06. So yeah, from 7:55 to like run 8 minutes to get, and it was as that way every day. And then again, I was fortunate that I would have a boss that would allow me to not work my lunch, so I'd finish at 4. And again, I would literally run to the station, run down the escalators. I would know I don't know, like sometimes when you get on the train platform to know what door carriage you need to be at in order
100%.
to get to the exit,
100%.
in order to miss the people, in order to fly up the stairs, in order to run. I say, yay. After I did, I said, mm-mm. I don't. When I look back, I don't even know how I did it. Oh no, actually, I know how I did it. I was fit. I've always been fit to a certain extent because I was just running. And when you look at it, I've been running for 10 years, every day, running like a trooper. Just before I even start teaching people exercise, I'm already fit. Running escalator, running road. That to just make it into the office. And if there was where if you run, you get onto if you miss the train, it's a 20-minute wait.
Yes.
And then that delays me getting to the nursery on time or getting to the school on time to pick up. And then if I don't pick up, it's a late charge. It's all of it. You know what I mean? So I just couldn't. And then outside of that, uh, my son presented as autistic, being on
Okay.
the spectrum.
Yeah.
So this started from even when he's about, I would say about 4 or 5. And it then took me about the next 5 to 6 years to get him diagnosed. It took me that time of taking him out of school. When he was 5, the school that he was in at that time tried to put him in, what do they call it now? Um, they called it a sort of, not a sanctuary. They called it something really fancy, like just say they call it like an emotional school for children that need care. Actually, it was just a jumped up Prue. And the head teacher of that primary school at that time, she'd enrolled my son into that school, and she told me that, oh, just it's not, I'm just gonna put we're just gonna put him there for 3 days out of the week, and then he can come back for us for 2 days. So when I went there to go and meet the head, because I didn't want the borough to say I was being obstructive, and I wanted to be able to be informed and objective, even though I knew there's no way that I'm gonna put my child there. And
Mm-hmm.
when I got there, the head teacher took one look at me and said, "You don't need to be here." And I said, "I know I don't need to be here." And I looked at the school, and the school was just a lockdown facility. There was nothing caring or, safe feeling about it. You'd go down the corridor and you have to buzzer to get in. And needless to say, the majority of the children were black boys. So my son would have been there 5. So anyway, and like I said, I could write a book.
I'm waiting for the book. Trust
I
me.
So I said, you know what? I'm not my son. That day was the last day that my son went back to that primary school that had enrolled.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't send my son back there again. And then after that, it was just a long journey of, because he would be unofficially expelled, every day because of his needs. They couldn't cope. But the last primary school that he went to, he had a 1-to-1. Um, but the budget ran out, and they didn't have the facilities, and they didn't. It was a case of the needs and the expertise and
Yeah.
fighting with the borough. Um, and then I put him in a special school, and that special school failed him, and he was expelled. And this just went on for years. So by the time he got to 10, I took him out of what was supposed to be the safe and school that's specialist for children on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I told the borough, I am not sending my child nowhere. Nowhere. He's staying with me now. That's it. Till you find the right provision for him, I'm not sending my son. So I stayed at home for a year.
Yeah.
It was in the run up to lockdown, and my job, I went on sick leave. And I also didn't feel any way of taking that sick leave, because in that time that I had been with that organization, my my record for attendance and punctuality and my job was up there. I wasn't a person to take the mickey. Like, I did my job well. even though it was actually very hard because I was the only black female manager on my team, managing it, leaving right on time, not doing the socializing, not doing the antics. I'm not part of your past. I've got things to do.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm out. I don't want to go to the pub with you, pub and have drink and beer and that. That's not my life. I've got two kids. I'm out of it. Yeah. So I had to, I did have to deal with that, but my kids and my well-being came first. Um, so I just I ended up saying, you know what, I'm not going back. And then staying at home with my son until I could get him into the right provision, taking the borough to court, which I won, to get him the placement that I needed, the provision that he needed, the statement that he needed, and the right to education that he deserved, like every single child in this country.
Yes.
Um, and then once he was accepted into the placement, we then hit lockdown. I said, you know what? So we were still at home because and I've got to say it was really claustrophobic being at home with my son. I know I love my son, but I was at home with him every single day. So it meant it was almost like being at home when you're a new mum, and you don't have adult conversation and you're just with your baby all day, every day.
Yeah.
I'm obviously not talking about going out and going to mums clubs and going to things like that, but it did get claustrophobic. So again, my outlet was fitness when I could, get to the gym, when I could get out and I was able to teach classes on the side. I still had that skill set. And that's the kind of thing that got me through because it was really, really quite difficult. If you're dealing with a child with special needs, their needs at that age, they can't articulate themselves, they cannot
Yes.
emotionally regulate themselves. And me as a parent that had no idea what autism was until I've now presented with a son that I've now got to diagnose and I've got to learn what it is so that I can parent him and I can respond to him in the right ways. It is very challenging.
Yeah.
And then to read up on information and then to be battling with the council of what is actually the provision, what is it, what does SEND, what does it actually mean in the schools, what is the offering, what does the legislation say, like all of that, having to know that so that I can try my best that my son gets the best outcome from, and then be at home with him every single day. That's not saying anything. I still got to my daughter that I've got to take to school, pick up from school. I've still got to attend to her needs. I was flat out. So once I'd won the court case, okay, I got my son into the school that I want. Okay,
Yeah.
I can breathe, and then I can start thinking about what I want to do with myself. Lockdown happened. It literally happened like that, and I said, you know what? Up there, you're having a laugh. I thought he was gonna give me a break. You're having a laugh. I remember looked at. I got him into this. I was like, finally, I got him the provision, and then lockdown happened. So we had to wait, but I got him into the right provision, and my son is a testament to that. If you are fortunate to get your
Yes.
child into the right provision, because my son is outstanding.
See.
Yeah, he's outstanding. Okay. He just needed the right environment. He just needed the right teachers, needed the right setting for him, and it was very difficult. And I know that there are parents out there that perhaps don't know how to access the service or they haven't been able to kind of know how to navigate the system. I was very fortunate, as I have been throughout my life, that I don't sit here and say I'm me because I'm me. I'm literally me by the grace of God,
Yeah.
and the people that have been presented and put in my path in each area, each chapter of my life in order to help me to get to where I'm supposed to get to. So, I had people that would offer me their services for free, or that would help me to do X, Y, and Z, or suggest things, organizations, people that I was lucky to come in contact with that would help me. But there are so many parents out there that don't have that, um, and that's it can be just so isolated, and it is really heartbreaking because the system is just not set up that way. So I give thanks that my son is okay, but that basically is the although that was a long story, that's the
No, I loved
abbreviation of,
it.
of how I got to fitness, because I was like bum that I'm not going into no office. It don't work for me. It don't work for my personality or my temperament. I haven't got time to go into meetings for meetings' sake. I haven't got time to talk in rooms where men are just sitting around trying to swing their bollocks about for the sake of swinging their bollocks about. And I really, and you know that, when someone writes you an email and you just want to be like, hold on, who are you talking to? Is that you're
Yes.
talking to? Are you
And
talking to me?
it's either indirect, or it's in a way where
Yeah,
they're articulating their words in a way that says I have authority over you, kind of way. Yeah, I know those ones, but then
yeah,
but
you got authority, but if we chat outside, there's no authority there.
but that's the thing.
If
You're
we,
insecure 9 times out of 10, Natalie. Those people are insecure
yes,
over you because you have an aura that says you have power, and it's not even a thing where you're saying you're throwing your power out there. It's not that, Natalie. It's just that you know who you are, you know what you've been through, and if those people went through what you've been through, they wouldn't be alive today. And it's
true,
just me being honest. It's me being, but you've handled yourself, like you say, with that grace, because you've taken the good opportunities that have come to you and you've utilized them in a way that says, you know what, I'm going to do the best I can with what I have. And
mm,
people, the right people, have seen you and wanted to help you because they can see
yeah,
that you want to do something with yourself. That's the difference between you and, sorry, an asshole. That's the difference
yeah,
between the two different people. People who have privilege will never understand what you go through because they've had it on a plate to them. And if they lose it, they'll be like, why is it happening to me for? If we lose it, we're like, how can we start again? There's a massive
yeah,
difference.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I hear that. I hear that. So but at at the stage, so now that COVID is, we're in COVID, and just like the rest of fitness professionals, we're now forced to go online. I'm like, Lord God of Abraham, I don't like going online. If you see me talking on my Insta, 9 times out of 10, I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that I've even had to come up and put up my camera phone to talk to people on the internet because I don't like it. It's very inner. That's what it's called. It's
It
called
is.
the internet, the
Yeah.
net for a reason. Yeah.
Yep. I like that one.
But it's the way of social media. It's a business, right? And I have to be seen to be visible. So I have to be, on there. So I'm like, if I'm going to be on there, then I'm going to be myself. So you're
Exactly.
going to get what you get. So, if you're in on my Insta, when I'm talking and doing up the things, you get what you get. But in person, you also get what you get. So I feel very passionate because I actually genuinely enjoy what I do. And I believe that working out and exercise should be readily available to everybody. I work with women, so I'm specifically talking about women. It
Yes.
should be accessible and it should be clear. We should be able to understand it and we should enjoy it. And there should be safe spaces for us to go to. And I don't believe that there are enough safe spaces.
I
So that's
agree.
why I try to create that with the events that I hold, that okay, we're going to come into a space and I am going to guarantee that you're going to feel safe in that space, that you're going to feel encouraged, that you're going to have fun. And then I am going to show you that actually fitness doesn't have to be dead and boring. The gym is not for everybody. Okay.
Yes.
I would love to empower as many women as possible to go into the gym and pick up the weights and tell anybody with their whole chest, ooh, yeah. But we can't all do that, right? And I can't be physically be with you to do that, everybody. But I can help you by talking to you. I can help you when you come to my classes and my events because it's hundreds, I can talk to you and I can say, okay, this is what you need to do. And obviously with the help of social media, I can do things like what I'm doing now, is share my story and say to you, well, actually, there was a point where I wasn't confident inside the gym, when I didn't know what I was doing. And I thought, I need to know what I'm doing and I want to know what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
once I worked it out, I'd be like, no, this feels good. Because when I go inside the gym and I lift up big weights and the man just looking at me with his mouth open, while he's hiding behind the water fountain because he thought
Behind the
that
water fountain.
I could tell you so much stories. Men just underestimate me. I just go to the gym and I just be like, I get to the squat rack and I say, have you finished with that? And they'll say, yeah. And they'll say, oh, do you want me to help you take off the weights? I'd be like, bruv, I'm starting with that. That's my warm up. And then if they'll kind of like step back and like, yeah, right, what's she talking about? Then you'll see them like kind of slowly looking, turning back, or just hiding somewhere, trying to see if I really am about it. Well, I say I'm about it. And they're shocked. Oh yeah, I love that. I love being a disruptor. I love being the one. What do you call it? The under. What's that word? The under.
Oh dear.
The one where you don't think that the person can really do it.
Ah,
I like to be that person. You don't
yeah,
think
I know what
I
you
can really
mean.
do it.
I know exactly what you mean. The
I'm gonna learn it,
underestimate.
and
You're
when I
trying to,
learn it, I'm
yeah.
gonna do it better than you. Yeah,
See,
and then I'm going to teach you. How about that? So that's what I feel like, the power of going into the gym and the exercise, and the same with dancing. So the reason I took up the dancing was
yeah,
because being in the gym, as much as I love it, I'm always in my masculine bag, my masculine energy. Okay. I go into that space and I'm lifting heavy weights. And even when I'm teaching, it's more of a masculine energy. The motivation and the style that I use is really kind of masculine. It's aggressive. I shout, I cuss, and I threaten people. But it's not by force, because every week they come and the class is back out. So it works.
there you go.
But it's very much it's a masculine energy, right? And unfortunately or sadly, my dad passed inside COVID,
Oh man,
right? So that was just the worst, feeling I ever, 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 ever. And I never lost anybody before my dad. So I never even been really to funerals. I just never had that, right? So inside COVID, everything was isolated. But that shock and trauma, what it did to me and my body and how I felt so disconnected. So it's like I didn't have any energy, like never mind masculine energy. And I
mm,
didn't know whether I would find myself. I didn't know whether I'd find happiness, I'd find peace. But I came across a post on Insta, and I saw this class of these women dancing the heels, and they were doing up sexy and they looked good. And I was like, but I can't even wear heels because I spend my life in trainers, number one. And I'm a woman, but I don't feel sexy. Like, how can I be like them? And I went to this class, and it was a really great class. And I went in this class, and there were women of all shapes just doing up baddie. And I said,
see,
wow, look at that. Um, and I was quiet for a few weeks, and I watched these girls, and I would, do try the routine. And then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. And then unfortunately, COVID, that particular studio shut down, right?
man.
And then I didn't have anything in the area. We've passed, got out of COVID, and then I've resumed training. I've resumed classes. I took up pole, and I was doing pole for the same similar reasons, because I was like, okay,
That's a hard
uh,
one to do. You have to have a lot of upper body strength for that one.
we did, and that's my advantage. I've got upper body strength,
There
right?
you go.
So I was doing that for a moment, and then that too. That was like, that was only a couple of years ago. The studio, North London, it's very hard. It's not compared to South London, right? In for classes, and then for me as a teacher, when I'm teaching, the classes I also want to get to, they're also peak times. We're all teachers, instructors, dancers. They all have classes at the same peak times, right? So if I want to go and learn something, on an evening at 6 o'clock, I too am teaching. So
Yes.
it's very difficult for me as a teacher to get into other people's classes or learn a skill, because I'm teaching at the peak times. No one's available in the day. So I've had to like grasp and say, okay, do things where I can. And there's now a studio in North London. That's the studio that I use for the events where they do dance classes. I've been able to pick up classes. But I would take one-to-ones with dancers and professionals, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna teach women how to be sexy in themselves, because there is actually a step missing. So there's plenty of women that don't feel sexy, don't feel feminine in the way that they used to, and they don't even realize it, because just life has lifed them.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
we've just gone through so many traumas. We're not even acknowledging it as traumas, because it's almost the norm. If you're you're working, maybe you've lost your job, you're struggling at home, you might have had you might be suffering grief, you might have lost a parent, you might be
Yeah.
caring for someone with dementia, you may have a household full of kids, you may be running two different jobs, trying to be an entrepreneur. Like as women, we are trying to do up so many things, we actually can just lose ourselves.
Yeah.
I would see that in the classes that I teach fitness. And if I say to a simple class, I say, walk up to the mirror like you're a bad bee, and they can't do it. They can't look at themselves in their eyes, in their own eyes, and say, I'm a bad bee. And that's actually quite sad. But I know that I too have felt that because I have gone through my own experiences, of abuse, domestic violence, being neglected as a child, where I haven't had these things. I've had to find them, um, and I've nurtured them within myself, so that I really feel passionate about. As women, we need that. We need a place where we can kind of come together and heal. Like a
Yeah.
lot of us need to
I agree with
heal.
that.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be through talk, the traditional talking therapy. There's other ways that we can heal. We need to bring joy into our lives. We want the soft life. I beg. We
Yeah.
want the soft life. We don't want this hard life. Don't
Yep.
tell me I'm strong. I know I'm strong. I want the soft life. Let us do up soft.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
true, Yeah, I
you,
agree with
you,
that.
under, you understand what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
no, I agree
Especially
with it.
as a black woman, we carry this thing. I'm strong, strong, strong. Yeah, we know we're strong. Okay, our ancestors are strong. It's in our DNA to be strong. Yeah, to
Yeah.
be holding up and supporting everything around us, while we inside internally are crumbling. That's
100%.
a
Yep.
shame.
100%.
Yeah. So I just feel like, okay, the skill set that I have, that I can use my mouth that is talking like a talker every day on this gram, just opening my trap, that if I can make a difference to say to somebody, excuse you, you are a bad bee and you can come out of your situation, all the situations that you've gone, and
Yeah.
I can openly share my trauma because I have healed, because I have done the things, because I'm still doing the things that work on myself, to be able to articulate to you, well, this is what happened to me, and not in a way to, like, try and score points, because everybody has gone through something. But I'm just telling my story, the things that have happened to me. You would my flat caught on fire, and I was homeless for 2 weeks. That's not after the fact that I was homeless at 15 and I was neglected and I was just abandoned. When I was like, and I'm laughing, and it's not funny, but I'm just laughing because you couldn't make
No,
this
you
up.
can't make it. I remember my friend said to me it was like fireworks and someone threw, not threw, I think it was a firework went in her window because the kids were just playing with them and being silly. And the firework went in her window and it just set her
Oh,
whole house on fire. You can't make up those stories. Just like you, when you told me
yeah.
your house is on fire, you just can't make them
No,
up.
no, no, no. Oh my God. I went to bed. So that particular day, that was when I was working in corporate. That particular day, I got home into my flat. I got home. I was like 11 o'clock at night. I lay down in my bed and I thought I heard something in the kitchen. I was like, no, there's nothing in the kitchen. Anyway, by the time I said, what? I swear I heard something like drop inside the kitchen. I walked down my hallway.
Mm-hmm.
I opened up my front room.
Yeah.
And when I say, boom, fire, I said, again, that's what I'm saying. I'm covered because it was, I couldn't see. It was just, I opened up the door and there's just flames everywhere. I shut the door, ran down my passageway, and I lived in a block of 5 flats. I had the top flat,
Yeah.
and then had to call the fire brigade. The flat was burned down. And you know what it was? And the funny thing is, when I came down, fire brigade came. That's the first time I ever had a panic attack. First and the last, praise God. I didn't even know what a panic attack was until it actually happened.
Yeah.
Like I just went into shock. Um, I remember the fire brigade came and they kept saying to me, "Did you leave something on? Did you leave something on?" And in my brain, I was thinking, "No, I didn't." I was thinking, "Shit, did I leave something on? Did I leave something on that caused
Yeah,
it?"
that psychology thing in your head. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it was the boiler. My boiler inside the kitchen malfunctioned and basically blew up and burned down everything. So really, it was lucky that I was inside, even though I was in the, because had I not been inside, I wouldn't have been able to. raise the alarm, call the fire brigade, blah blah blah, I would have come home and my entire flat would have been burnt down.
Yes. That's
Anyway, I
not
don't
even a
know how I
joke.
got onto that story. My point was, I've got their stories and they're real stories and things where, and I wasn't insured. Yeah, I weren't insured. I didn't have building insurance. I had a flat. I was young. I didn't know about building insurance, household insurance. I didn't have insurance. So I lost myself. Um, and temporary housing.
Wow.
I was displaced again, But there's so many things. It's hard to say I'm grateful, but these are the things that have shaped me. And I can share these stories of adversity or things that have just happened that you can't even imagine. But I've been able to move through them, and I still have my health and my fitness and my big mouth to be running the stories and telling you. You'll be like, so when you see me coming, and we ain't even in touched upon. Remember all of that time I'm suffering from alopecia, and be running up and down with this wig situation to the
Man,
point.
that's another subject actually as well. A lot of women, kind of cover that.
Yeah,
A lot of them are afraid to talk about it because they feel, and as well, men suffer with it too. It's women and men suffer with
absolutely.
it too massively, and you can see. I don't know if you ever had this, but you can see their confidence just knock a six.
Yeah,
I see it a lot with men. With
yeah,
women, I think they try to cover it a lot more. And again, that strong factor comes into I'm strong where
yeah,
comes into it. But from your perspective, talk to me about it because this is a really cool subject to talk about. Alopecia can be anyone at any time, at any age.
yeah,
People used
yeah.
to think that it just was at a certain age, but now it's not true.
Yeah, no, it's not true. I mean, there are so many different forms. So I could obviously my experience is my own form and my own journey. But like what you said is, I was able to mask it and mask it very well for many years. So my loss happened from when I would say late teens, like early 20s, and it was at the front. That's when the kind of lace wigs were only just really coming about. So I used to really mask it with like I would have extensions and I would have my fringe covered to the point so it would cover it.
Yeah.
And then we had the wigs, and then I would just always have a fringe to cover the sides. But it just got to the point where it's almost like I just accepted that this is it for me. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
Um, but it did get to a point, after so many years, especially with being in fitness, where the anxiety started to actually piss me off. It just used to piss me off because you got to think that I'm literally forever sweating. I'm literally
Yeah.
forever running about. And to have the worry of whether this wig is going to slide off my face, slide down my forehead,
Mm-hmm.
or worse still. So when it got to like, because I've been bald now for 2 years, right? So when it got to like the last year before I decided, you know what, this is long. I'm not doing this no more. Social media is wicked and bad, man, because people will take out their phone, and if you drop, they're filming you. They're not helping you. And I have seen the videos where women have gone viral because their wig dropped off in a rave,
Oh,
or their
100%.
or their
Yep.
wig dropped off in a
Behind
roller
the
coaster.
settee or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, I've seen those ones. Yep.
And
And you're like,
some of them are really hilarious, but I don't want that shame. Let me take my own shame. I don't want you to come and give me shame, the unannounced shame. I'm not prepared for shame. The wig is just leaving me. It's my
the
wig. I
wig is
bought
just
it.
leaving me.
Let me decide when I want it to fly off. Not just be anxious every 2 minutes. Oh shit. Is it gonna slide? And God forbid. Listen, I've got so much wig stories. You're chatting to a man and you're worrying whether your wig is sliding left. Later, it's long. I just said, you know what, it's very long. I'm not doing this anymore. And like, when you get intimate with a guy, you got your wig on, it's trying to do up sexy. And you're wondering if the man's gonna hold on to the wig and yank it back. God of his Abraham. I'm telling you, there's so many things. We could do a podcast on hair story, wig story alone. Savia, I'm
That's
telling you.
true. No, that's true. I think we should. We should do a
Alone.
round two.
The stories I tell you. You're trying to kiss up man and you're worrying whether the wig is slipping back and your forehead is going to be exposed. That's just that. This is dating. And you know, when you get to the part where they're like, oh, what does your hair look underneath? Oh, bruh, shut up, man. Please, allow me. So it's a lot. So I just said, you know what? I'm not doing this no more. I'm not doing it no more. You know, but on a serious note, meeting somebody that you actually like and then having to worry how are they going to accept you
True.
once you now have to actually tell them something serious. Like, I have alopecia. I don't Unfortunately, I'm not wearing wigs because it's a choice, because it's I'm trying to protect my hair. I actually don't have hair in this area. It balds and it sheds, and it actually can be quite distressing, because before the thing that made the camel that broke the straws back was I got the correct diagnosis. So all these years I was told it was, what do they call it? The alopecia of the front, the hairline, and they kept saying to me it's because, for black women, the hairline pulls, you're doing your braids too tight, you're doing your weave too tight, but I wasn't. And
Yeah.
I would keep saying to them I wasn't doing that. I was just wearing wigs, so it wasn't anything to do with traction alopecia. That's it, traction. I was like, I don't do that, but they would keep telling me that. But then I finally found a black trichologist, and
Well
she
done.
correctly diagnosed that I have scarring alopecia.
Oh,
And
wow.
then the frustration, but also the relief of actually being correctly diagnosed, I said, I don't think I'm ever going to go back to any specialist ever again. I am going to go bald. I am done. I'm just done. And that's when I said, you know what, forget it. I'm not doing it. So I shaved off my hair, and I was like, for the first 2 weeks, I still was, although I was confident that I didn't want to be attached to wigs in that way and not have a choice, I still was nervous about how it's going to be received, right? Because I don't know whether my head back is sexy or not. I wait for you lot to tell me. What if I shave off all my hair and you're like, look at this peanut head? I mean, my head shape does
Stop it.
resemble peanut, but it's sexy because I carry it. But it's still a risk. It's still a risk. So I had all these worries, like, and also my job, like there's ad hoc modeling that I do. There's jobs that I do that's teaching, even with the dancing, and I'm like, I'm attached to my hair. Like, how am I going to be received? On a professional level, am I still going to get booked and hired for work? Like, these are all the conversations that I had that I wasn't sure, okay, is this going to work? I just had
Hmm.
to stand in it. So for the first 2 weeks, I would only wear my bald head at home and to the shops, and back. And I remember I would go into my local Tesco's. My Tesco's is a superstore, and I was waiting for someone to just, turn around and be like, say something mean or like look at me in horror. And no one ever did. And obviously my friends that I had showed, they were all like, nah, you look nice. It really, it suits
It
you.
suits you. Yeah, I
And
agree.
like, okay. And I was like, so once they kind of gave me that assurance that no, it looks good, I said, okay, boom. I'm gonna do a photo shoot, and then that's it. And that's what I did. I did the photo shoot, semi naked as always, because whenever you see me on this gram, it's always semi naked. I've always got a little piece of something on. And I was like, well, okay, let me do a carnival shoot, because soca means so much to me, because my dad is from Grenada. It's his favorite, his music, and it brings me so much joy, but it also brings me sadness, but it's a
I get
celebration,
you. I get you.
so I was like, that's the reason why I did that carnival shoot. And also the colors and the vibrancy.
Yes.
Like, if you really know me, that my personality, this is what I am like. And as I said, I am not everybody's cup of tea. Look, mama, you either like me or you don't. It's
I
very,
get
but
you.
if you don't, you don't, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I am not going to dim the marmiteness of me. Because you don't like it. If you don't like it, all of a move, yeah, I am going to shine. So that was the kind of thing behind me. Say, okay, I'm gonna do this shoot,
Yes.
as bold and as daring it was, but I'm honest to people when I'm saying I was nervous, I was apprehensive, but it was just a case of, okay, I'm going to do this. And this is how I always push through with like my fitness, with the dance. So even when I come on social media, I don't come on social media polished. I can't stand it. I am not going to put up, video likes and this plant in the background to make it look good and do up makeup and have microphone. No, you're getting what you're getting because you just listen to me talking. That's it. What's all the aesthetics and doing up heroics got to do with what I'm telling you? I'm telling you, don't eat biscuit. You don't need me to be in a fancy studio with a microphone, yeah, and do up lipstick to tell you put the lipstick down and go your ass to the gym. You don't need me to do that. Just this is why social media frustrates me. In fact, don't get me started, yeah. Don't get me started because I just can't. I just can't. I haven't got the patience. So I'll just say it as it is because people have been wasting my time. So when you see me talking on Instagram and say, people, oh Nat, how do you get abs like how you got? I want abs. And then I'll catch the people in the Sainsbury's doing up chocolate in their basket.
Well, more than chocolate, my dear. There's a lot
Oh,
more than
more than
chocolate.
chocolate.
A
And
lot
I'll
more
be
than
like,
chocolate.
but you're the same person that was DMing me asking me how to get abs. Or they'll say to me, "Oh, how much do you charge for coaching? I really want to be trained by you." And then I'll tell them how much, and I say, "Oh," and then I'll see them at the weekend doing that brunch, doing that rave, drinking Courvoisier. I said, "Blood, you're not serious." And then to use on my phone, and I'm having a consult with you for 20 minutes, and you tell me, "Oh yeah, I really got money." But each every day when you're going to work, you're busting prep. You know how much a sandwich costs in prep? £5.
Yeah, that is true.
You're buying Starbucks. And then when I tell you that your belly is big, you came to me, told me that your belly is big and you want to unbig your back. But that same money that you're using in Starbucks, in prep, where you're going at the weekend and you're doing up brunch, you're doing up this food, you're doing all of that, you're not really serious. You're just coming to waste my time.
That's the thing, though. People will never take. Listen, you can give someone the information, Natalie. It's whether or not they really want to do it, and you know when someone really wants to do it because they will sacrifice.
Yeah,
Everything that is good in your life that you've done has been a sacrifice. If you want to be a fitness trainer, you've sacrificed because you left your job.
yeah,
If you want to be a mom, you
yeah,
sacrifice many things
yeah,
just to be the mother. So there's so many things that you have to do in your life if you really want it. And you can see when a person really wants something. You can just see because they're willing to let go
yeah,
of everything that they
yeah,
had in order to be that better person, in order to have that job,
absolutely.
in order to lose that belly,
Yeah,
even and you can see it. But you listen, I know.
yeah. And that's the thing is like I am happy to help and give you my time, but you have to really want it. And it frustrates me when women come to me and they don't really want it. You are wasting my time that could have been given to somebody that does really want it. I'm a busy person. So you're welcome to make inquiries and I will offer you my time and give you, advice, complimentary advice and stuff if you really want to try. But
Mhm.
when you don't, when you know you're not really, and that's fine as well. There's nothing wrong with that. You may not be ready, quite ready. So there's a difference between not being quite ready and just knowing actually you're just what, let's say you're just waffling. There is. There actually is. And we know it. You know it. There's so much times where you do it yourself. I do it sometimes, right?
Mhm.
I don't really want to, yeah. I mean, but most of the time, if I want to do something, I'll say yes. And if I don't, I'll say no. And that's why I encourage women to say yes and to say no with your whole chest.
Yes, that is true.
Both things are complete sentences. Yes, no, they're both complete sentences, right?
Hmm.
So you should know in yourself. So when you come to me, you should know, okay, first of all, you should have done your due diligence and realize what type of woman I am. So
Hmm.
I do care and I do want to help you and I will hold you accountable, but there has to be a part of you that wants to do the work to change for yourself.
Yeah,
And there's
I
going to
agree.
be only so many times where you're going to say, oh, I wish I could look like you, or I wish I could get as strong as you, or I must come to your classes, or I must. come and be trained by you. There's only so many times you can say that. If you want to do something, you are going to do that. And if you don't know how to, then you employ the people who do know how to help
Yes.
you to get to where you want to go to. That is the same for every single one of us, right? When I've learned the skills and the things that I have gone to people and coaches that are better than me at that thing. Yeah. So I can learn, so I can grow. Now, I've only gone when I'm ready to do that. I've only done gone when I'm ready to commit to that. So the same is true for if you want to, get fit. And fitness isn't about, a short-term thing because it frustrates me when I get inquiries of when just, oh, they've got a wedding or they've got a holiday or they've got this and that to get. No, it should be a lifestyle
Yeah, I agree.
for us, especially as Black women, where our generations are plagued with dementia, Alzheimer's, um, arthritis,
Yeah.
diabetes. These are the things, okay? And the way that it can be changed or helped is by using the body that God gave you.
Yes.
Frustrates me when people don't use, you get to exercise. Yeah, it's not I have to exercise, you get to exercise, and it doesn't have to be inside the gym. You can walk one stop extra on your journey into work rather than take the full train journey or the full bus journey. Okay,
I agree.
you can take the escalator instead of take sitting on the escalator and watching it for that 1 minute. What is the point? Like your legs work. You don't want your legs to work into your 60s and your 70s. You see, when old people sit down on the chair and when they get up, they say, "Oh God, my butt, my knee, them." Is that how you want to be? We've all got it. We all hear it.
Natalie.
Oh, is that the sound that you want to be making every time you get up off the chair? Them sounds.
Not for me. That's not for me.
That's not it. When you get up off the chair, you should get up off the chair smooth. You shouldn't be like, oh God, my knee. Who wants to hear that every time? Save them sounds for the bedroom. You should be able to get up smooth off your chair. I don't understand. So that's what I'm telling people. Women, lift the weights. Go inside the gym. If you don't know, ask somebody that works in there. They're paid to tell you how to lift the weights. My God. Now, Sammy, them things get on my nerves. Gets on my
Natalie.
nerves. That fix up. It's not hard. We can walk, we can dance. We all like music. Music is universal, right?
Yes,
When
100%.
I teach, my thing is I create a vibe. And this is why I believe that I'm successful and people want to come to me, right? It's because no matter how much I cuss and complain, it's at the end of the day, it's all banter, it's all
Yeah.
jokes, okay? And inside my classes, I literally have all types of people, and not everybody is at the same level. And that is the
Yeah.
point. We are all at our different journeys. So I will encourage you inside that space at the level that you are at, right? Because that's what a true trainer should do, should be able to spot what is your level and try to help you past that level a little bit.
Hmm.
And the problem with group exercise at the minute, and I had this the other day when I covered a class, is they will move like sheep. And I say that in the sense of they'll go each week and pick up the same bar, pick up the same
Mm.
weight, the same. And what should be happening is each week you should be trying to progress and go a little bit heavier,
Yeah.
especially if you're doing a class like a pump class or like a functional class of losing the weights. It cannot be every week you use the same weight. You must try, even if it's a couple of kgs heavier, you must try to go heavier, right? So I try to create that space where it doesn't matter what your level is. I am going to encourage you at that level, and then we're all going to move together, and we're
Yeah.
going to, and music is the thing that solidifies all of us because we're all the people that I teach are from all walks of life and they're all ages. But when you have music and a vibe and an instructor that can actually engage, it's a boom class. Yeah. And so people feel encouraged and they'll cuss and complain, they'll shout, argue back. But they'll come back next week, right? Because they are making progress.
Hmm.
Yeah. And even for those that maybe just do that and that's the only thing they do,
Mhm.
it is a wellness for them. It's the feeling that you get after. So that is a fact, like the endorphins that you get once you have finished a workout, or the sense of accomplishment or achievement that you felt,
Yeah.
is really so conducive to our mental and emotional well-being. And in this day of social media, where we open up social media, or the news that I don't watch because it is so negative, like we said at the beginning of this podcast,
Definitely.
everyday negativity, everyday trauma. Okay. I don't want that. I don't, so I try and filter that as much as I can. But even with the filters there, it still seeps in. That's why
Yeah.
it's even more important to get out. So classes that I come to, whether they're like a serious boot camp or a fitness party, it is still a social space. I still hold that as a social space, right? Because people are connecting and relationships have formed because of that space. So it could be you only come every Saturday, but all the boot campers know each other and then they bring people in. And even outside of that, where I've done the dance ones, this is a really good example. So on Christmas, one of my girls messaged me and said, "Oh, will I be hosting at a particular rave event that I have done where I've done masterclass?" And I said, "I'm not going this year." And she's like, "Oh, I wanted to really go. I wanted to go for New Year's." And I said, "You should go. You should go by yourself." Nat, you crazy? I can't go. And I knew somebody that was going by herself, right?
Mhm.
So I messaged her and I said, I have someone who wants to go by herself. You're going by yourself. And I can bet the two of you will get together. Do you know that four solo women went to
Mhm.
this New Year's rave and they got on and they raved it up and they had the best New Year's Eve ever? And they
See.
sent me the pictures. And you know how much joy it brought me? And I said, you see that? I said, if when you messaged me and said, because I'm not going to be there, you're not going to go, and you've got no one else to go with, you would have missed out. So
Yeah.
she's now formed three new connections, even if it doesn't mean it's a deep, meaningful friendship. It's three other women that you could be like, you know what, I feel like raving today. I feel like raving. I want to go out. Are you free? Shall we go out? Because there are
Yeah.
so many of us that are single, and I don't mean that in the sense of relationship, I mean that we are solo, that there's
Yeah.
things that we want to do and try, but we're too scared to do that because it's a case of you feel shy or you feel alone or you feel embarrassed, or you might go there and you think you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. You can't live your life like that. And I
That's
think
true.
you really have to. Me losing my dad in the way that I lost my dad. My dad was supposed to come out of hospital. I was preparing for my dad to come out of hospital. The hospital literally called me up and said, he's not going to make it through the night. You're going to come. It's a different perspective that, yeah. And then you have to basically arrange a funeral inside of COVID by yourself, and then all the stuff that comes with it, it turns your head top differently. Okay. And my life experiences show, okay, I've only got one life. I've only got one life. You've got to do the things. So when I'm speaking and I'm out here talking like a talker, it's to tell women I was once like you. I didn't used to go out, and I mean I still like my dressing gown and my fluffies,
Oh
but
yeah. Mhm.
I will pick up my foot solo. I go to the theatre solo. I go cinema solo. I go out eat solo. Because if I'm waiting on something or somebody, I might
You'll
miss
never do
that
it.
experience.
Yeah, you'll never do it.
I went to the podcast last year of Candice Brathwaite and Sorrel. No, I know no one else listens to that podcast. I didn't even wait to ask anyone. I booked it and I went to the Palladium by myself. And when I sat
See?
down, the lady that was sitting next to me, I said, how are you? She was also by herself. And you get to talk to you, what's going to happen to you? Nothing. But at the best case, you may meet somebody else who is likely that you can form a connection with. Perhaps you guys can go. I've noticed now on the socials there's a new space. I think called Noir something where they encourage get-togethers and stuff because. Yeah, if you are a single woman, then okay,
Yeah.
and you don't have friends that like the same things you do, it will
Yes.
be difficult for you to try new experiences, right?
Right.
Right. So then that's why you just have to be like, okay, take a step and just go. And I know that it is really scary, but I teach women that are in their 50s and 60s, and on God, they've never left their husband, they've never left their children to go on holiday. every time. So that's what I'm saying about being a woman. So you're caring, and a holiday, that's not a holiday then, because you're still worrying about your picnics.
Yeah, that's true. That's no,
So
no.
you've
I
also,
think it's one of the most embracive things to go out by yourself and
mm,
just be spontaneous. That's the word. It's that spontaneousness of not knowing what's gonna happen next, but knowing that even when you do it, something wonderful happens. For me, that's what it's like. For
mm.
everyone else, I don't know, but for me, it's the unknowing for me because I like the spontaneity of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it depends on what aspects you can go. So yes, the spontaneity for you is the thing, or the unknown. I think for me,
Mm.
I don't know, I just feel scared. I mean, I know the first time I went on holiday by myself, I started crying at the airport, big tears,
Oh,
big tears, big woman just crying at the airport. I'm like, oh, dear, I know, it was the best holiday I ever had. But I had to go to the airport and sit there and like start cry, big eye water, like I'm about to go on a plane by myself. Why am I doing this? But once I had done it, it was one of the best holidays that I've had. And to be honest, the way that I am now in my life, as much as I enjoy going on holiday with other people, I actually do enjoy the solo experiences because I am not
same.
waiting on you. There's not this, oh, we said we're going to be at this time, who's not ready? And then me, I'm always the quickest because I got no hair. I'm always the quickest to get ready, so I got no hair, and I don't really wear makeup. But I'm not waiting on five gal to do their hair and do their makeup. No, I'm getting to go, and I want to go and see this. I want to go that, or I want to lie on the beach. This is what I want to do. I'm not in anybody's mix up or any passer because there's always passer when you go on a group with girls.
That is true. Someone doesn't want to go there and you have to wait for
Yeah,
them. Someone doesn't want to go there. Someone wants to do this. You don't want to do
yeah,
it. Someone don't want to eat that. And then, no,
yeah.
okay, I'm gone. I see you later.
Yeah, so like, catch me when you catch me, isn't it? So, but there are pros and cons, isn't it? Because yeah,
Naturally.
it's good to go with your girls, but it's also going by yourself. It brings, for me, it's brought me another set of
A
bold
fulfillment. Yeah.
that if I can pick up on the last trip I did by myself was Bali, and that
Oh,
was a
that's a good one.
big trip because that was two planes. I said, Jesus, I'm getting on two planes to get by myself. You know what? To be responsible and behave like I'm actually educated, I've got to read signs and make sure I make the right connection. That's a different level of pressure. I've got to pay
Hmm.
attention here. It's not just one trip. Okay, it's two planes now. Did you do the maths? Because my organization in reading is not the greatest. I'll tell you that. My friends know me for being the person. I'll double book myself. I'll be at the wrong room. I've been to the I'm just disorganized. So if I found myself on the wrong plane, it'd be okay. Yeah, because I didn't read. So to get onto two planes by myself was an accomplishment, and I had the best experience. And I went by myself, but I shared with four other women, and again that brought up its own experiences, and now I have those connections now. So if I wanted to go on holiday again, we do a fitness holiday. So it just brings a sense of accomplishment and achievement. But for me, it brings me more things and more value that I can say to women as a coach, that these are my experiences, that I'm not asking you to do anything that I haven't done myself. I'm not
Yes.
asking you to do anything that I haven't experienced myself. It's because I've done it, or because I've been through it, why I can tell you to do this, and why
Yes.
I
I
can show
agree.
you or guarantee you that it will be okay, as long as it's done safely. These are the things that can be achieved because the world is ours. The world is what we make it, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be that, okay, we're just here for sufferation. It can't be that. It can't be that we're just here to hold up everybody and support everybody while our cup is depleted. Like, we have to pour back into ourselves, and we have to love ourselves. And I feel like there's so many women that I talk to, we don't love on ourselves enough. We're waiting
That's
for
true.
our love, or a recognition to come from other people. How about you recognize yourself, that you are great yourself, that the things that you have achieved, whether they are big or small, they are great things. Even if you only did one thing today, you could, they are great things. There's so many experiences that we've been through, and we don't recognize that coming out of the other at the other end is an achievement in itself. And even
Yeah.
when we're in it, that by the fact that we get up another day and do something, that is an achievement. I was speaking to somebody recently that connected me and said they suffer a trigger warning talking about baby loss. Baby loss and
Mm.
miscarriage is something that we do not talk about. We don't even talk
Enough.
about
Yeah.
grief,
Yeah, that is true.
just grief as a broad subject, let alone baby loss, let alone miscarriage. Okay. And it's almost as though it is actually so normal, it's abnormal, and then we're not talking about it. And so we're just going about it, okay, it was normal. And no, no, it's not normal. It's a trauma, it's a loss. It needs to be processed. We need to have safe spaces where we can talk about it. And it shouldn't be that because you happen to share your experience with somebody else that you then realize you are not alone. Yeah,
Mm.
because only when you share your story, then you realize it's not just me. There's so many of us that have gone through similar experiences. And if we can come together in sharing those experiences, it can help. Even why I feel passionate is like if I share a story, if two people on my feed say, this happened to me, but this is what I did, and someone says, actually, this is what I did. Oh, I used this person. From me just sharing my story, four women have made connections or have read a post and feel like, oh, yeah, I that happened to me. Oh, I used that service. Or why don't you try this service? Do you see what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah, I get
creating
you.
that thing where just to be transparent and to be authentic. And this is what I feel social media lacks. It can be used better if people were just authentic and didn't open up their trap for trap's sake.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't open up your trap for trap's sake. Be honest and genuine in your experiences and your thoughts. You don't have to have the same thoughts as everybody else. You don't have to wait till somebody speaks and then make your thought fit in with theirs. Say what you think, say what you feel, and share your experiences. So these are the things where I think it's just so important just to be open and to be transparent. With me, I would always be what you see is what you get, and I'll tell you. And for this year, I've told everybody that, and last year I was saying as well, is as women, we must give ourselves grace. Grace. Like, if you are a woman and you're listening to me chat off my lip, I've been chatting for an hour, no water.
No water.
I've been chatting like a chatter. I've been speaking like a speaker for a whole hour. Listen, girl, don't worry, I'm gonna stop soon. But if this is the one thing, yeah, that I want you to take from this podcast or me talking like a talker is please give yourself grace. Give yourself grace for all the things that you have experienced and for all of the things that you have achieved. Yeah. We don't celebrate ourselves enough and we do not give ourselves grace enough. Okay.
Yes.
When I speak to women and they say, for instance, if I have a client and they say, oh, I didn't go to the gym and I because this, that, and that happened, right? And then they'll tell me this, it could be traumatic. I've got one that she told me that she's dealing with looking after her parent that has got dementia. It is
Hmm.
soul destroying and emotionally debilitating to care for your parent who has dementia because they're in and out of a state where they cannot remember who you are.
Yeah.
That is a trauma, man. Yeah. And if you're dealing with that day in, day out, that's not nothing. That's a big thing. So I had to say to her, give yourself grace. If you're tired, you're allowed to be tired. You're
Yeah.
allowed to say, I can't do this anymore. You're allowed to say to your siblings or your other family members, I am tired. Can you take the baton up? If you have to make decisions, you have to make decisions that serve you, as difficult as it may seem. It has to serve you because if you are depleted and you are broken, you can't serve your parent, you can't serve your family, you can't serve or nurture any of your relationships because you are depleted. And so many of us women, we're depleted. We don't even know it because we're just on auto. We're on auto because we are historically, we're just so strong. We can carry a lot, but we need to give ourselves grace and say, I am tired and I have done a lot, I have achieved a lot, and it's time for me to do something now. So even that could be in the short term, it could be in the long term. We all deserve rest. We all deserve a soft life. So I beg,
Yes.
if there's anything that you have picked up today, it is that one thing. Please give yourself grace. Give yourself grace, man.
You know what? I think that's a nice way to actually end the podcast as well,
Mm,
because you said so many things from literally from top to bottom, where you've come from, what you've been through, your kids, autism, your parents, literally abortion. We've gone through so many subjects just in this 1 hour. So I want to say to you,
and we didn't
Natalie, I
even
want to
touch on domestic violence.
listen. That's round two. Listen, I can talk about that for days. Trust me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can talk about. I've seen it. I've been through it. I
Yeah.
trust me. Anybody who has been through it can write a book on that alone.
Hmm.
Natalie, I
Absolutely.
think you should also write a book as well, because I know there's
Absolutely.
so much that we haven't even spoken about.
Yeah.
But you need to write a book. You need to put it out there. You need to have an audio one, and you need to have a physical copy in your hand. You need to start writing that book. You just sit down every day for an hour, just like, and before you know it, you've done a couple hours and you don't even realize. And then 50 hours will go by and you know you've written your book. Believe me, because of how you articulate yourself just by talking, if you can do that just by talking, imagine what you can do when you're writing it down.
Mm.
That's just my vision of you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I received that. Thank you.
Yep. So I want to say thank you so much for taking your time to tell us your story, for showing your compassion, your kindness, but more than anything, telling the world that it's okay for you to be who you are. And even if people don't like you, that's not up to you, that's up to
Then,
them. We
yeah,
all make our own choices in life, and we are who we are because there's so many people in the world. We connect with different people. So I want to say thank you for coming on. I always say to people, time is a precious thing,
it
and who
is.
you share it with
Yes,
means an abundance to me for coming on
absolutely.
the show. So thank you so much, Natalie.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope I have done something for somebody listening to hear yapping, yapping.
Oh,
I really do appreciate you asking me to come here and talk. So as much as you appreciate me, I also appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me.
you're more than welcome. But before I even go and say the ending, Natalie, please do share with us where people can find you, because I would love for people to be able to find you, to connect with you. And even if they've listened to the podcast today, I would love for them to be able to connect with you and what you do.
Absolutely. So I am Natalie Remee on all of the socials. So I'll spell it because I only realized this year there's actually many variations of Natalie, some weird ones, but I am Natalie Natalie Remee. So I'm Natalie Remee on the Insta. That's mainly where you can find me for business. You can find me Natalie Remee on LinkedIn as well.
So that's awesome. So guys, please support, go and connect with Natalie. You know, she'll talk to you. Trust me. If she can talk to me, she'll talk to you. Believe me.
As
Believe me.
as long as you're not a waffler and not come to waste my time, I will talk to you. Yes, for sure.
You see, you know what I've learned in life, that there are many types of people, but the two that stand out the most are the observers, the listeners, and the talkers. There's many different types, but those three for me stand out for some reason. I don't know why, but I've always recognized that.
Yeah,
And there's something in their aura and their energy of how they do things that say something in the world, and that does something in the world, because I believe that the world is built mostly upon energy. And I
Yeah,
know we can go into the spiritual realm of things, and that's a whole nother podcast too. But
absolutely.
that's a whole nother podcast too. But definitely, guys, please support Natalie. Go out, take one of her classes, get to know who she is as
Yeah,
well.
for sure. And then actually, can I do a plug?
Of course you can, go for it.
So my next big event is April the 26th, and that is when I do the massive fitness party. So that is where I have almost 100 women or more in the studio space,
Wow.
and we jam. And we literally jam for three
I
hours.
like
And I
that.
know it sounds like a long time, but it flies by and everyone really enjoys it. And I encourage you
True.
to come alone. I really do. So if you don't have anyone to come alone. You will make friends, you will make connections. We soca it up, we Afro beats it up, we dance hall it up, we literally do the most. And it's a great way to just come, connect, socialize, and of course, have a bit of fitness.
There you go. So, guys, please connect with Natalie. Go to it on April. I'll make sure I pull it on all the social media platforms so you guys can see it. And this is where I say, guys, thank you so much for listening to the As People podcast. Please remember you can subscribe and leave us a review on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, or any other platform that you prefer listening to. You can also go on the Us People podcast website and also the Savia Rocks website to listen to any previous guests that we've had on our show. And the most important part that I will say to you tonight is, guys, please be kind to one another. Thank you for listening. Stay happy, stay positive, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another. Take care.
Society has made me want to validate me from my illusion that awaits me, from how the people will perceive me. It's my illusion that awaits me. We fight our war with ourselves. Our mental health is silencing us from our heart. Social media is taking our time from connecting with each other soul to soul. Why we dance on TikTok, strike a post on Instagram, fight the web on a Twitter feed, link a thing on Snapchat. Why we dance on TikTok, strike a post on a Instagram.
What you said on the podcast is going to help so many people.
I hope so.
So thank you. Thank you for doing that.
It's really, yeah, there's so much things, but yeah, for me, it's just if I could share experiences, and there's still many more, like you said. If you talk about the spiritual, we talk about domestic violence, even the miscarriage. I've suffered miscarriage. There's so many things, but everybody at some point, unfortunately, can relate, and it's because they can relate is why you should share it, isn't it?
100%.
Connecting with each other soul to soul. Why we dance on TikTok, strike a post on Instagram, fight the web on a Twitter feed, link a thing on Snapchat. Why we dance on TikTok, strike a post on a Instagram, fight the web on a Twitter feed, link a thing on Snapchat. Why we dance on TikTok? 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 It's taking our time. Why we dance on TikTok? With each other soul to soul. Why we dance on TikTok? Strike a post on Instagram, fight the web on a Twitter feed, link a thing on Snapchat. Why we dance on TikTok? Strike a post on Instagram, fight the web on a Twitter feed.